How's it going, Warrior Nation? This is Shane Crawford, and you're listening to the Winamac Podcast.
Welcome to the Winamac Athletic Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Sanders Foods. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at your hometown grocery store. First Federal Savings Bank. They don't want to be the biggest bank, just the best. Riverside Rentals. Discover canoeing, kayaking, and lazy river tubing right here in Winamac. Action Plumbing and Heating for all your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs. Been serving people since 1994. And now, the voice of the Winamac Athletic Podcast, Justin Ruff.
Hello. Welcome back to the Winamac Athletic Podcast, episode 39. And today we have a dandy of an episode for you today, continuing the Throwback Thursday episode. This will be number 3 for Throwback Thursdays this year. And I tell you what, just going back, flashback to memory lane, we do have a 2007 Winamac grad, and that will be today, Mr. Shane Crawford, a 2007 state champion. And just brace yourself with this interview and episode. It is about an hour and 20 minutes long of us talking and communicating with the state champion. He has lots to go through, not only in his high school career. We have a lot to go through in his high school career with him, all the stuff that he accomplished, and his teammates as well. And then we moved on to his college career at Purdue University, picking up a bunch of records there, and then moving on professionally, competing at the Summer Olympics and other events as well. Just a heck of an athlete in his time at Winamac, 2004 to 2007. He was an 8-time event sectional champion. He won the 200 his freshman year in the sectionals. He was a 100 and 200 sectional champion his sophomore year, advancing to state his sophomore year, finishing 11th at state his junior year. He was also the 100 and 200 sectional champion, along with the long jump sectional champion. He was the 100, 200 regional champion, advancing him to state his junior year, finishing 3rd in the 100. He finished 8th in the 200. His senior year, he was the 100-meter sectional champion, the 4x1 relay sectional champion. He finished 2nd in the 200, and he was the 100-meter regional champion his senior year. And then his senior year, he won state in 2007. He went on to Purdue University, where he had a lot of accomplishments there as well. His freshman year, he went on to the NCAA Indoor Championships. He matched the Purdue school record in the 60-meter dash. His sophomore year, he finished 7th in the 100 at the Big Ten Outdoor Championship. His junior year, he set the Purdue school record in the 60-meter dash, winning a Big Ten championship in the indoor with his career best time there his junior year. And then his senior year, he set another Purdue school record in the 100-meter dash in the outdoor, winning a Big Ten championship outdoor, advancing to the USA track and field championship. He tried out for the Summer Olympics in 2012. Big-time accomplishments from this Winamac graduate, 2007. It was fantastic communicating with him, going back and talking about his career at high school and all the fun stuff outside of high school. Just a great person to talk to. Again, mentally, this is who we want going through our high school. And it was kind of similar to the Kevin Good conversation and interview I had with him. Shane Crawford going into every event, everything that he does, extremely confident in himself and his abilities to be successful. And that having that mentality as a high school kid, moving on to college and his adult life, that is what we want more at Winamac. And really the work ethic, the determination to be successful is outstanding for Shane Crawford. And I saw this up front my freshman year in high school. I'm just idolizing him, and we're not going to get more athletes like Shane Crawford coming into Winamac. He was top-notch, one of 2 state champions in the high school of Winamac. Just a great performer, a great athlete, and it was a great time communicating with him. Like I said, brace yourself. It was an hour and 30 minutes long, but it was great information, a great interview. So we will bring him on right after this. This is the 2007 Winamac grad and the 2007 Indiana State Champion in the 100-meter dash, Mr. Shane Crawford.
It's time for the Warrior Guest of the Day. Let's return to the voice of the Winamac Athletic Podcast, Justin Ruff.
Welcome back to the Winamac Athletic Podcast. Today, super thrilled to continue the Throwback Thursday episodes. And I tell you what, we have a dandy of an episode for you today, a dandy of a Winamac alum joining us. I just talked about all of the accomplishments that this man has done right before this. And now we have him on, the 2007 Winamac grad and the 2007 state champion, and Mr. Shane Crawford. How's it going, Shane?
I'm doing good, buddy. It's good to be here.
We're here. Look at us in the Alaska County Library in a little room.
It finally happened.
Finally happened. I tell you what, I did not get much sleep because I was just waiting for this day, and on this calendar, Shane Crawford Day, and yeah, that's where it was.
It's
You
nice.
didn't have on your calendar Justin Ruff Day.
Of course I did. A notification went off and everything.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. We have a lot to talk about, Shane, just to dive deep into not only your life, but your career as a Winamac Warrior and your career in college and all that fun stuff. But before we do that, let's give the mic to you a little bit and talk about just answer what year you graduated, if no one knows, and any activities or sports you're involved in at that time.
Okay, I graduated in 2007, so that makes me a old relic now. And at the time, my main sport was track, man. And when I was a little younger, I messed around just with wrestling.
Oh,
And I liked it, but I gravitated towards running. And I will say I have a lot of respect for wrestling because it's very similar to track. It's an extremely physical sport. And a lot of people don't necessarily realize that, but it's very, very physically demanding. You have to be very strong, powerful, have great stamina, endurance, quickness, reactions, so I gravitated into running, and that was my sport.
so wrestling. Did you wrestle in middle school, or did you wrestle in any?
Yeah. I think it was 6th or 7th grade. I went and tried out, and I liked it.
Yeah.
I think even at a very early age, I had kind of made up my mind if I wanted to be really good at something, I needed to dial in on that. And I'm fairly that way to this day.
Nice.
I try not to do 10 things at once. I try to excel at 1 or 2 and steer into that way. And I did the same exact thing with my athletic career. Now, a lot of people will tell you, as a young athlete, it's really important to do all the different sports that you can. And I have no problem with that. It's just for me, I was there, even at a young age, I was very driven and I hated to lose. So I knew if I was doing a bunch of different sports, I would probably lose at one that I love. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Love it. And so let's take away track. No one invented track. No one invented wrestling. We'll throw that in there too. Any other sports you would be like, hey, I want to do something? What would you focus on anything else? Or
if there was anything else that I could have, I would have been fighting. To this day, I love watch it.
like UFC stuff.
You got it.
Oh man, you would have been good at that too.
Man, I think I probably would have been better at it than running, if I'm being fair.
I love it. I love it.
Kind of mean. I just fit right into it.
Okay. I love it. That makes sense, though. That makes sense. The fearless. I can see that play in UFC kind of fighting. All right, you said you caught interest in track right away. What age was that? I know we start, in Winamac, we start track in the middle school time frame. Did you do it around that time? That's when you started falling in love with it? Was it before that?
So I will say at a very young age, I love basketball. I love Michael Jordan. Yeah, he was one of my idols. And I wasn't going to be 8 feet tall, so that just didn't make a lot of sense for me. So of course I gravitated so I started running 6th grade track. And I can tell you, I didn't win a single race my whole 6th grade year.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
I did not. And William Singh was the kid's name. And again, I'm a grown man and I can remember this name. It's the kid that always beat me. Where
was he from? Were you from Winamac?
He was from Winamac.
Okay.
Yep. He was an 8th grader. And actually, right after 8th grade, he moved to, I think it was Culver Military Academy. His family moved in there, and he switched from track to fencing. So at that point in my mind, I was like, "You coward! You knew you were going to have to see me in high school, so you dumped me."
Yeah,
exactly.
I was going to say I've never heard of him before.
Yeah,
what to fencing?
He went to fencing, but yeah, he did the same events I did in track. Cullen Day, still the coach now, and was our coach then.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be second to William every track meet, and I hated it. Couldn't stand to lose.
And that was 6th grade.
And that was 6th grade.
So you only had that for 1 year. And then...
Right. But yeah, man, and a lot of people don't necessarily know that about me, but I have a fiery temper. But because you have to fit into society, I can't just walk around flipping tables and breaking stuff.
True.
You know,
if you were in UFC, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it'd be acceptable then.
I didn't know that, though. Huh? You had a rough 6th grade year, finishing second, huh?
Every single meet, 100, 200 long jump, every time he beat me, everything.
So that's what really, and then 7th grade, really when you just got first every time, I guess. For the most part.
Yeah. So through middle school, that's what it was. The 7th and 8th grade, I then won everything. And that was just, I was always very driven and always wanted to work hard. And it's 2 things about me. I hated to lose and loved to win. But if you had to ask, I think I hated losing more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right with that. I mean, winning's fun. I mean, winning's enjoyable. Nothing. I mean, it's very fun to do when you win. But when you lose, I always tell the kids, like, I mean, it's worse because having someone else over there thinking that they're better than you, it's a sting. And I feel like you're the same way, man.
Big time. It's a driving factor in life.
Absolutely. Your family, were they all into you joining track, or were they pushing you to join track or do something else, or what was that?
Big time. My dad, Paul, was a huge influence in me, and he was my biggest supporter my whole life. And there was really only a couple meets that he ever wasn't at. So like when I was out of the country, he didn't go to those. And there was a couple college meets where I was injured and he didn't make it to those. But outside of that, my dad, certainly, a lot of my family, my grandma, my aunts, a lot of them, cousins. And if I'm leaving anybody out, I apologize for that, but friends too. I had very supportive people about it. And so that was a great thing to have.
And then definitely, heck, man, that puts some fire behind you. That builds you up.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where it's like you try not to think about it too much. Like you never let the situation kind of overwhelm you. Like, oh, my whole family's here. I can't let them down or anything like that. But it was never the case for me. I wasn't worried about that. It's when people are just genuinely supportive, whether you win or lose, they're not gonna beat you up about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And as a kid, that's things like that are important.
Right. And of course, me being the best podcast host, and I guess you can throw me in the stalker situation. I saw your dad, man, on Facebook. And he posts a lot of stuff about you, even high school days.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that he was a big supporter for you and kind of drived you. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to your high school days. We're starting all the way from the beginning, Shane.
Okay. All
when
right.
you were a little bit weaker, I guess.
Okay.
You guys, a little bit. Freshman time. We can't have you on and not talk about who helped you through this process in high school, and that is Hall of Famer Coach Jeff Beach. What do you have to say about that? This guy, what kind of coach was he? Anything like that he's taught you in life, or you still talk to him? Anything like that?
So I was so blessed to have Jeff as my coach. And here's the thing. through high school, college, and then as a professional, I have had a lot of different coaches, and Jeff is probably the best one I ever had.
Mm.
And the thing a lot of coaches have issues with is having ego, and it's very tough to blend that ego with an athlete's ego as well.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I dealt with that at the professional level a lot. Is you get these coaches who would have significant ego, and I did have a good one at that level as well. So I don't want to just bash that.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff was very good at recognizing my weaknesses and my strengths, and he also understood his. So we worked together very well to reach the levels of success that I did. So between him and my dad as well, we had a fantastic relationship. And to this day, when I see Jeff, I always get very excited. He's a fantastic guy. I simply cannot say enough good things about him as a man and as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome.
He's a great human being.
He is. He truly is. Yeah.
Just a good person to talk to and stuff like that. But that's great that he was a big part.
Yeah, big time. Well, and that's the thing is, Jeff, and I believe he actually said it in an interview one time, is he understood the amount of research that I was doing for my training and everything. And we talked it over, and Jeff gave me a fair level of control by my junior and senior year to kind of let me try out different things. And he saw stuff that I was doing was working. So he basically just helped me to that point.
Yeah.
And, I cannot say enough good things about him because he was a big reason on why I got to the point that I did. It was awesome.
You said try different things. The events that you had, and again, I remember, and we'll dive deep into this more your senior year, but I remember all the events that you did. Of course, you're known for your 100, you're known for your 200, but not a lot of people know they threw you in there, and Beach threw you in there a lot of different events. I don't know if you volunteered or he kind of talked you into it, or what was that? I mean, we're talking like 400.
Well, I will say I did the 400 all the time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
man. And I actually have the middle school record in the 400.
Yes.
And
in the high school level too.
Yeah.
You have that record.
Yeah, middle school and high school. It was an important thing to do, but the biggest goofiness that we did one time is we did an 800 just because we kind of wanted to do an endurance check and see where it was. And then we quickly realized, oh yeah, that's not your place. You should be 400 and under. So we tried it, into our credit, and I wasn't afraid to try it, but that's not for me. That wasn't my event.
So 800 was the stretch. No discussion for the mile.
Yeah, not even close. It's because the training is so different.
It is,
and just your different muscle types and everything. So yeah,
absolutely. Yep. All right, let's talk about the freshman year. Let's talk about that team, Shane. I know, again, lots of teams you're a part of. You're thrown in there right off the bat. Your freshman year had a pretty good freshman year, but just reading some of those guys off that squad, some that catch my eye. Josh Reif.
Yeah. Josh was a good friend of mine.
Good hurdler,
great hurdler,
yeah.
and we trained together all the time. And so Josh was rather brash. But the thing is he wasn't afraid to kind of tell you what you needed to hear. And Josh was around for some of the other seasons just to kind of give advice and things like that. And he would tell me if he felt like I was, slacking off a little more than I should, or if certain parts of the training should be harder. So Josh was fantastic. He was a very good hurdler, and he was a blast. Now, a lot of the other team that I can strictly remember, and I'll probably talk about them more at length, but they were around my age: Joel Webb, Casey Bennell, and some of the other guys. But yeah, no, Josh specifically, we trained together a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Awesome. And that kind of guides into the sectionals there, your freshman year. Eric Vanderhoff being one of those guys that we'll talk about, especially in the regionals and state. But he was a heck of a shot putter, a heck of a discus guy, has records for both of those events. And he actually advanced to the state.
That's right.
Your freshman year.
Right.
Do you remember any of that?
You know what's funny? I've got a quick little story for that.
Beautiful.
So I must have rubbed him the wrong way, and he apparently did not like me my freshman year. He did not get along with me, and we kind of came to blows one day.
Mm.
And it's, again, I'm just a scrawny little dude and he's this big thrower.
Yes.
But we kind of mentioned the fearless thing is that I wasn't afraid of anything. And, I'll give you this. I'm afraid of three things in life: melee combat with a lion or a bear, Don't get me wrong. I think that's a rational fear,
Sure.
but I have an irrational fear of that. And then skydiving. So those are the only three things.
Yeah.
So to that point is, we got into a little bit of an altercation, and thankfully nothing ever came from that as far as neither one of us getting into trouble.
Mhm.
But again, yeah, that's about all I remember from him. Is after that we got along.
Mhm.
I think that was just the point, is I wasn't going to be pushed around at any age.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of your hazing from seniors when you were a freshman,
Right.
and for me, I wasn't going to accept that.
Right.
Well, I mean, it didn't matter if it was a 300-pound senior. I didn't care.
He was a big boy.
Yeah,
He was a big boy.
right. But again, in my mind, I am a giant. So anywhere I go, and I was even at that age, I was 15.
Yes.
Even at that age, I walk into a room, I am the king. and that's, to this day, I am still that competitive. I'm still that way.
Love it.
And part of me wishes that would go away.
No,
That's just not how God made.
No.
I'm not wired like that.
that's good. That's good to hear. I like especially athletes. I feel like athletes need, and that's why you're sitting here, a state champion, and lots of other accomplishments as
Thanks.
well. But yeah, I mean, Eric, I don't blame him. I mean, being a senior,
Mhm.
and having a freshman in there coming in and being a successful freshman, being very good.
Yep.
I don't really blame him having some kind of,
You know
Oh,
who
well.
else? You know who else didn't like it? Dan Heiser.
okay, I have him on the list. Yeah.
And I get along with Dan.
He ran with you, 100, 200.
He did. Yep. And Dan's a great guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. But again, if I was in his shoes, I would get it.
Yeah.
So do you remember in school when they had all of the grades, it'd be freshman, sophomore, junior, senior,
Mhm.
they had every one of them, come out, they do like different events, things like that.
Yes.
You remember the little school functions?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do the 100. Well, each class selected. So senior selected Dan, freshman selected me. So I went out there with my big baggy jeans. I had terrible taste in clothes. Nobody told me I was an idiot. So I went out there in my big baggy jeans looking goofy, but I smashed Dan jogging. And from that point forward, he did not like me because as far as Dan knew, he was going to be the man his senior year. He was going to win all these accolades. So as we're training my freshman year, he does not like me. He wants to pick on me and things like that. So funny thing, I never had to beat the crap out of Dan. We were in the weight room together and I was drastically stronger than him and he figured that out so that he left me alone. And for me, it was like, Dan, how far do you want to take this? I know you're a big, strong senior.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're not the same, man.
Right. Was that event before track season?
So that was before track season.
Okay.
And then once we were officially in track season,
Yeah.
he had still wanted to pick a little bit when we were at weights.
Yeah.
So then it was at that point, oh, okay, better leave that one alone.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't pick on the other freshmen.
There you go.
And I do have another story in that route when we get to college. So make sure we
love it.
that.
Love it.
It's always the throwers. I don't know what the deal is.
But yeah, your freshman year, you were 200. You were the 200 sectional champion.
Was that? Okay.
Yep, freshman year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to remind me because I don't remember.
Well, heck, Shane, that was almost 20 years. I mean, that was a long time ago. 2004. That's 20 plus years ago. But and then your freshman year, you're again in the 100. You finished second in the finals, and you got behind a guy from Valpo, and Valparaiso was in our sectional at that time. And his name was Nathan Barksdale.
Okay.
Of course, did my research, looked him up, and he made it to state just like you 3 times, 3 years,
Nice.
and didn't win.
Okay.
But he also went on to ran at college
Oh.
at UMass.
Okay.
And here you are, a freshman. I'm bringing him up because you're a freshman,
Okay.
and you're going up against this
He's a senior, right?
D1 athlete
Okay.
who's a senior. And you finished right behind him in the 100. And I thought that was pretty cool. Just the next coming
Right.
for you.
For sure.
And again, lots of on that team. I mentioned Josh Reif. He advanced in the hurdles to regionals. Same thing with Eric. And again, you in regionals.
Mhm.
Do you have any kind of memory of that your freshman year in sectional regionals, anything like that?
Man, I really don't. I think I got eliminated at regionals, right? Like
Correct.
that was the end of my journey right there. I just remember being so hyped. That was I specifically remember that of my freshman and sophomore season. I was tired.
After the
Yeah.
and stuff.
Exactly. Like by the time I got to regionals, I just physically felt tired.
And yeah, regionals. You finished third in the 100, fifth in the 200. And again, like I mentioned, Eric moved on to state and he finished ninth, I believe, in state shot put, which I thought was cool. Also,
Yeah, he did make it. Yeah.
Yeah, that your freshman year, you saw that happen.
Yeah.
And then the next 3 years. So 4 years in a row, Winamac track had 4 people.
Yeah.
4 years in a row.
And I don't know what these kids are doing now. Somebody needs to get back there. Oh, come on, guys. I paved the way for Rosa. They're supposed to be.
I agree. So your freshman year's over. Okay.
Thank you for that.
I know. And I guess it's safe to say you're weakest out of your 4 years in high school. I think it's safe to say, because each other year you advanced to state. But what changed after your freshman year? Again, you mentioned you don't like losing a lot.
Yeah.
So did that hit you when you were a freshman? Just like, hey, something needs to happen here for me to move on in college. Again, you're a freshman. You're 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
How do you get in that mindset? Not a lot of kids do at these age.
Well, I had that mindset just from a very young age. Like I said, it was just between kind of the way my dad brought me up and helped me train, and just the way God made me as well. Is I'm just aggressive and I hate to lose at things, and not the point that I would be mean to people. It's just I want to lose.
Right.
So. And again, those are the kind of things like in everyday life, I have to keep those things from my friends, because otherwise, you don't have friendships when you are that way all the time. So it's kind of like being able to separate that. It's a unique trait, certainly. But the big difference, okay, so I continued training. A lot of these kids, when track gets over, and it's only 3 months out of the year, when it's done, they're done training.
Yes.
For me, that was not the case. It's such a physical sport. I had to get stronger all the time. I had to continue lifting. In 8th grade year, I could bench press 185 pounds, just to throw that. That's when I was an 8th grader. So I was physically strong at a pretty young age. And I continued lifting my freshman year, and I started to get a lot more muscle coming in, growing anyway. So sophomore season, I had just logged all this training up to that point, and I was just physically stronger and could handle training.
And you definitely took a jump each year. Yeah. It's amazing, Crawford, that each year you just got extremely better. And now knowing just a little bit, even in the middle school level, you losing to that guy in 6th grade, and I feel like you just kept getting better, starting in middle school all the way to high school and college level.
And that's the big thing, man. People have to understand, you don't just go out and run. You have to train correctly. And that's what I've tried to tell people. One of my biggest annoyances that I had for the longest time, I don't care now, but people would always ask me, what's your mile time? My response would be, I don't know. I don't do them. I am a sprinter. I run for 10 seconds, and you are not going to beat me in that distance. But I run for 10 seconds, and that's it. I don't train miles. I don't do anything over 400 meters, and it's all very fast. So my training was very articulate. I was very just meticulous with the way that I did the training. And I'm sure I was annoying, but thank goodness for Jeff to just help me with all that.
Right.
But again, all credit to Jeff Beach for that.
Yes. Yeah.
My dad, both were fantastic.
Again, that's why he's a Winamac Hall of Famer as well.
He deserves it.
He deserves it.
Yep.
And sophomore year, 2005, Shane. Again, the guys to mention on this team. Again, you still had some of the crew that jumped on with you.
Yeah.
Brian Shanks being one of them. He's a long distance guy.
Yeah, Brian's great.
Yeah, and then our kids are doing soccer right now, so I talked to him a bunch. And then you have some freshmen, the guys behind you, and Andy Stepp being a shot put.
That's right.
And then Ronnie Thomas, distance, Ori Maxwell, hurdles, and those guys having a big impact your senior year, helping your squad out. Donnie Nice, we got to mention him.
Yeah, Donnie's great. He's a really nice guy also. And again, Ori as well. He was fantastic. Andy was great. Brian was wonderful. And these were guys who they didn't take it quite as seriously as I did.
Yeah.
But again, they were always there. They always work hard, and they just had good attitudes about it. And that's the other thing is, treat it like work. You don't want to show up with a negative attitude. If you show up feeling positive about it, things are more than likely going to go better.
Right.
And was Andrew Snowberger along at this point as well?
He was. I think I have him on juniors. I do remember seeing his name on the sectional list. But yeah, goes Old Snowburger.
Yep.
Yeah.
And each year they all got a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. The Donnie Nice story, I saw him and I asked him, hey, I'm about to interview Shane Crawford. I saw your name on some of these stats, you being behind him. And he, of course, said, well, I let him win a couple times.
That was very considerate of him. When I needed the ego boost, so it was very nice of Donnie to do that for me.
Yes. Well, the funny story, I'm like, do you have any stories? And he's like, well, I do have one, long jump. And he was doing a long jump event, and you guys were at Rochester. And I kind of like this because even in track, there's not a lot of light towards Rochester, which I kind of like. And you were jumping with them. And he said that he was jumping and some of the Rochester guys were kind of making fun of him, mocking him. Well, let me know if you remember this at all, but like they were mocking him, cheering him on, like not a good way.
Okay.
And then they jumped and you did that to them. and this was before you had jumped. And let me remind you of the key part of the story. It was pouring down rain at this time. And it hadn't been called yet. That's what Donnie said. And he said that you jumped, broke the school record. And then this was junior year.
I would say this was junior year.
Junior year, you broke that. You broke the long. And I asked him, like, was that the time you broke the record? He's like, I'm pretty sure it was. And that was in the rain, Shane.
Yeah, it was that the 22:11 and a half?
Yep.
So that kid's name was Tad. And
you don't remember the name.
And I'll tell you why. And I'm glad Donnie remembered all this because there were certain points that I needed to help me remember that. And I do remember that now.
Okay.
And again, I had to stand up for my guy. Again, Donnie's great.
Yeah.
So the coach, I can constantly hear her saying, "Go Tad! Let's go Tad!" And nothing against Tad. I know him. He's a great guy.
Okay.
I believe he's a cop over in Rochester, or he was. Really nice guy. But that pissed me off. And again, you're not going to sit there right in front of me and do that.
Right.
And I think the better way to compete against me is to not get on the wrong side of me.
Right.
Because I elicit fantastic emotional control on the outside, but that doesn't mean that things irritate me on the inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Generally, a lot of competitors won't be intuitive enough to pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly her and Tad did not. If they would have kept going, I probably would have jumped to 24.
I wish they would have.
I don't know, right? And the comical thing about that is the fifth jump got farther. It was 22 something. The sixth jump was a school record, went even farther. Yeah, and then I think I didn't ever want to long jump anymore because it always hurt my shins. My shins felt terrible.
Okay.
Jump.
Yeah, and again, I think we'll talk about that later because you were a long jump champion later in your high school career. But sticking with sophomore sectionals, let's talk about that real quick. You won the 100 your sophomore year. You won the 200 your sophomore year in sectional champion.
And I didn't do the 400 there, right?
You did not do the 400.
We dropped that, but I think I was on the 4x1 and the 4x4.
You were, especially later on.
Okay.
You were a champion in that too later on in your high school career, but you're the only one that advanced to regionals. In the regionals, Valparaiso, you finished third in the 100 and fifth in the 200. However, that got you to state, both of those events.
Okay.
So here you are, Crawford, your sophomore year, heading to state. How did that feel? I mean, this is your first time heading into state. Was that just, pretty cool moment? First time going there? Or?
It was, but a lot of the way I've always been is I don't necessarily let the moment be bigger than me. And I was never nervous about it being state or the best in the state because there was a large part of me that felt like I was the best. And even at that age, I knew I could be the best. And at that point, I wasn't developed enough yet. I wasn't physically strong enough. And again, like I told you, sophomore and freshman year, I remember feeling exhausted by the time I got to this point in the season. So that is a specific memory that I still have about that. Is by the time I got to state, I felt exhausted. So when we ran the races, I just didn't have any energy. I remember my dad took me to the doctor and we did blood work and they just said I was dehydrated. But it's like, well, you're drinking water all the time. Why are you dehydrated? Okay. We didn't know. But it's one of those things, well, you get through it. It is what it is.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And so, I mean, and again, so your state sophomore year, you finished 11th in the 100.
I know that didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't. I'm sure it didn't. And it would you did not go to the finals in either one, 100, 200. But again, from my view, you made it. That's pretty cool. But of course, you were just like,
Man, and what's wild is I think I won everything up until regionals and state.
okay, yeah. So
I don't think I lost anything throughout the whole season.
that was one of the things I was going to ask you. I couldn't dive deep into every single meet, and if you were undefeated. I knew you were undefeated your senior year.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if that was like that sophomore, junior.
Yeah,
year.
my sophomore year, I don't think I lost anything up until regionals.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it really didn't feel good.
It didn't really feel good. And that's what it was is, so then I've got the next following year to train, constantly have that reminder that I lost at regionals and state. And again, that didn't sit well with me. So, okay, I didn't do well at by my standards, but by what I wanted to do, I didn't do well at state.
Right.
Like some people were happy to be there, but for me, I'm not there to just, exist.
Right.
If I don't have that goal, I wasn't very happy with that.
I love it. And again, that's one of the reasons why I had to have you on, just so people capture this mentality of that, what you had, the work ethic, determination, pretty much a student of the game, a student of track and your body. I mean, just really taking care of your body. And from people I've talked to, that's what you're really good at as well, especially in college.
Right. Well, to that point, a lot of people, and I've been public about this, but I never touched drugs. I never had a drop of alcohol. I never smoked. I never did anything like that, even all the way through college. I didn't do any of that. And that was why there was a bit of a rift between me and teammates is I didn't want to party with them. So that was a frequent thing. It's like, and I try to tell any of these kids I talk to now, it's great that you guys want to fit in with everybody, but you can fit in and be a loser, or you can stand out a little bit and win. And for me, that's what it was, is you have the rest of your life to drink and do whatever you want to do. How about you focus on winning right now?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that I think that just separated me from a lot of people and just my mindset and why I'm different. And again, I'm sure that makes me annoying. I make no qualms about that, but that's just me. That's where I'm.
Right, absolutely. And again,
I'm a conqueror, Justin. That's
there
what
you
I'm
go.
trying to do. Okay?
How much has this helped you in your adult life?
Completely.
I mean, come on.
Completely. And stuff like that annoys me so much when parents will try to say, well, it's just athletics. It's just high school sports. It translates into everything you do in high school.
Absolutely.
I don't miss work. I don't make excuses at work. And that all stems from me being that way as a kid.
Right. Love it. All good stuff. So sophomore year was over, Crawford. Right. So you advanced to state, but you said your freshman and sophomore year, after those meets, exhausted.
Yeah.
Junior and senior year, especially, head into your junior year, what the heck did you do differently? I know you said you didn't really take an off season. I know that you participated in a lot of indoor stuff. But what did you do with your body? What did you do with your training to get better your junior and senior year?
So a big thing that kind of changed in the junior season, I had picked up a book called Speed Trap, and it was wrote by a Canadian coach named Charlie Francis. He did fantastic work on basically explaining the theory of sprinting, how you actually get faster. So a big thing I started to incorporate is basically shorter sprints that are full speed. And all through my off season, that was a big part of what I would do. So like 40-yard dashes, 30-yard dashes, and 30 meters, 40 meters, things like that, but they were full speed. And that's a lot of things that our football players could benefit from, for example, because so few athletes actually spend time on actual full speed training. And then you can't come and ask me how I get faster if you've never done anything to run fast. Like the simplest answer is to run full speed to get faster. And no athletes do that. No one was doing that at the time around here. I started doing that.
Right.
And you don't necessarily feel tired right then and there from that training because it's such a short burst.
Right.
Everyone associates fatigue with going and running miles and miles and miles. Well, that's not the same. If you're trying to run fast, that's not how we train. So I had to do things that were very specific to the 100-meter dash and the indoor 60-meter dash. So my training became very tailored to be good at that.
Whose idea was it to jump in an indoor? Was it you or your dad?
I wish I could remember. That was definitely between Jeff and my dad.
Okay.
And I'm glad they did that. So I was indoor state champion my junior year in the 60. And a lot of people didn't know that. I believe there's also a fun story to go along with that. So if you remember Coach Johnson, Kyle Johnson, and Kyle's a great guy. I was in advanced PE and we were doing sled pulls.
Okay.
And, you move the sled 20 feet, take it off, someone else's turn. Okay, we didn't account for momentum when it came to me doing sled pulls. So we pull the sled. I take off with it. I get to the edge of my area. The sled keeps going. This thing runs over my ankle, slices it open. I'm bleeding all over the school. Kyle looks at it and his face turns white. And he takes off running and he's like, come with me. I leave a blood trail all through the school. And I'm really sorry to whoever had to clean that up. But all through the school. I'm pretty sure this is my junior year. I'm sorry.
Say what year was
If it wasn't junior year, it was senior year. But I'm pretty darn sure it was my junior year.
Wow.
So we lead this all through the school. Okay, my dad comes there from work and gets me, takes me up to the hospital. They put stitches in it. They're like, it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks of recovery time.
When was this?
This was right as the indoor season was about to start.
Okay, so winter season?
Winter season.
Okay.
Let's say January.
Okay.
So I needed to get a qualifying time if I wanted to run at the indoor state meet. Okay, I didn't have one. And now I've got this, open wound on my leg. I just got stitches in it. Well, this was like a Monday. My race is on Friday or Saturday.
Oh.
So I've got 4 days. And if I don't qualify here, I don't go to state at all. Okay. So I don't do it, needless to say, I don't do anything the next 4 days. And I go to the meet and run. And what's funny? I qualified, I won. And then I think it was 2 weeks after was the indoor state. And I believe I got the indoor state record then as well. And then I also won. And that was a great launching point for that. But it was just so annoying because you would do all that training up to that point.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's one injury, good luck. But again, that was my mentality is I didn't care. I was getting in the blocks either way.
Right.
It's open wound, don't care, stitches, it's fine. You got it.
That is crazy because I'm sure again, this is a distance runner, but I'm sure Steve Prefontaine.
Yeah.
In that movie, he, I think, in real life, he slit his foot.
Yeah.
And he actually ran it. That was kind of,
Yeah,
again, this was important of what you were trying to do and doing that.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it felt really awesome to run on that pain, right?
It's not the best thing ever, but again, it's you do what you have to do.
Absolutely. All right, that 2016, your junior year team, you were in, so, I mean, we had, again, each, I feel like you mentioned it. I felt like just kept getting better with you.
We all just continue growing.
Corey Hurd was thrown in there. He was a pretty good 800 runner, 400 runner.
That's right.
Joey Tetzloff, he was good in hurdles. Philip Budding, he was in there as well.
All 3 of those were great guys. I worked close with Phil Budd as well.
Okay.
Like I remember we did a lot of stuff in the weight room together. And I always got along really well with Phil. He was a great guy. Was Don Perkins in here yet at this point?
He was 2009 is when he graduated. So your senior year, he was a sophomore. So your junior year, and again, I wrote him down senior year.
I thought
he played a bigger part your senior year.
Yeah, my senior years.
But he was a freak athlete too.
Right.
He was really athletic and stuff like that. But so your junior year sectionals, you won the 100. You won the 200 3 years in a row, winning 200. Now, let me ask you this, and this is a question that I want to know. What do you like doing better, 100 or 200? Of course, you won the state in 100, but I mean, you also had pretty good success in the 200. What was your favorite one to do?
It was for sure the 100. I just, my training got more and more directed towards success for the 100.
Yes.
And of course, you're still training for the 200 as well. Like you're still doing a lot of 150s and you're doing a lot of 300s. You're doing things in that range. But for me, my preference, it was the.
Okay. Yeah. And I remember again, your senior year, because, later we'll talk about it. I was part of it, and I saw, I was kind of more inside and,
Yeah.
and saw, yeah, your focus was definitely more in 100. I especially thought your senior year, that's what you wanted to accomplish.
And it wasn't that I took out other things. Like I was still I still did the 4x4 for every meet.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I still had to be good at the 400 as well. And I did get a 400 PR my senior year also. So I was still training hard for all those things that would benefit the team. It wasn't just about what I was doing. Like I wanted the team to get medals also. I wanted them.
Well, I mean, Crawford, you have 5 school records in Winamac, and again, 100, 200, long jump, and 400. And again, you were the long jump sectional champion your junior year,
Right.
Which I thought was pretty cool as well. You're 8-time, I think, event sectional champion. I had to count.
Was it that much?
It was that much.
Okay, cool.
Again, I was enjoying doing research. You see all my papers here. I was enjoying it. It was fun. But yeah, so the team finished 3rd in sectionals your junior year. Corey Hurd advanced in regionals, and the 4x1 team advanced. That was Joel Webb, Hurd, Finkley.
Yeah, Will was great.
And then Donnie Nice.
Yep.
So
I trained with Will and Donnie very regularly.
Nice.
Joel was starting to step up into his own at this point as well.
Yes.
And I liked Joel a lot. He was fantastic. He did a good job. And my goodness, I remember Jeff always wanted him to do the 300 hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing people may not tell you is in high school track, the 300 hurdles is probably one of the worst events in the sport.
Yeah.
Collegiately, it's the 400 hurdles. At the professional level, it's the 400 hurdles.
Okay.
But then the 400 is right behind it. And everybody's pretty unanimous on that decision. Those are the worst events. So again, it was asking a lot of Joel to not only do the 110 hurdles, but also do the 300 hurdles. But he did it reluctantly. He still did it.
Let's say, yeah, he was in there in the 300. But regionals, again, your junior year.
Yes, sir.
You won sectionals in the 100 with a time of 10.72, and then the 200, 3-time sectional champion at 200. I got to throw that 3-time in there, with a time of 22.17. And again, that advanced you the 2nd year in a row to state, Shane, and
right.
Junior year, what was the difference there? I mean, again, you were physically, I felt like, in better shape, right, as you mentioned. And what was your approach going into your junior year to state at the beautiful Indiana University campus?
It is lovely, isn't it? Man, all of that was just building on top of it. People, like I said, a lot of people think you just train for 2 months and then you go out and this kind of stuff happens. But this is a lifetime of building up to that point. So essentially from regionals to state, all I had to be doing is trying to keep things crisp and clean and just be healthy and then repeat what I've done the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to pull some unicorn out and have something magical happen. You're just trying to do what you've literally done the entire season. And since I had built all the way up to that point, it should have been easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you know how it went.
Yeah. You finished 3rd in
I
the
wasn't
100.
happy with that. Scott Wims ran a amazing race to beat me, and I believe it was Devin Pipkin that got 2nd. Now, Devin Pipkin was runner-up for 3 years in a row. His freshman, sophomore, junior year, he was the runner-up at state. Mm-hmm. So he was better than me as a freshman. He was better than me as a sophomore. Mm-hmm. He was better than me as a junior. Devin, he later went to IU University. IU.
Yeah.
And Devin's a great guy. I talk to him to this day. He's fantastic. But I was not happy with that 3rd place. What place did I get in 200?
200, you got 8th.
Yeah.
You got 8th.
That was all a tough pill to swallow, man. Like I went there for golds and I didn't come back with anything. I got a bronze and an 8th place. So,
and again in 200, you were behind Pipkin and Wims there.
And I think the time at state that I ran was at a 1072.
1071.
You still have it. I remember it for a reason.
Yeah.
And here's why. So after my junior season, after the state meet ends, my dad had convinced me to do some club running.
Let's go.
So we do junior nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not have found this. So after that 71,
I did find it.
You did find it.
I have it already.
Okay, so I get on these club teams. Devin and I go to the national qualifier, and I think I ran like a 1061 or something to that effect at this meet. Then we go to nationals, and I run a 1053.
Yeah.
And the reason I was so off about it was because I ran a 1053. Devin ran a slower time at nationals, and he advanced. So I felt cheated.
Yeah.
There's a few things that really drive me bonkers, and I don't like to feel like I've been cheated. Now, that was no one's fault but my own. I should have just ran faster, the simplest answer. But the point was, from the state meet, my 10.7 to nationals about 4 weeks later, I ran a 10.53.
Yeah.
So that was what I was doing over the summer of my junior year, getting faster. I was at a 10.53 at this point.
Yes.
Okay, so once that was all over, I think I took a week or two off. Coming into the senior season, I will not forget it. I sat down with a notebook, little blue notebook, and I told myself I wanted the state record my senior year. Now, the state record was 10:30.
Right.
Okay, so that was the goal. And I don't know that I told a whole lot of people that, but I told Jeff and I told my dad that whole season was about breaking the state record. So a 10:30 was in my head. Now, of course, at that point, you start having college interviews. I've got all these different things. You're getting different invites to different places. And it really picked up after my indoor season of my senior year. And that was where I had ran a 670, which was the leading time in the nation for the 60, mind you, 60 meters. And I had also got the state record in the 55, 626. That stands today because they retired the 55.
Okay.
So as far as I know, I will always be the 55 record holder, since they don't do the event officially anymore.
Nice.
So I can keep that feather in my hat. And it's funny, a few years ago, a young man actually broke my 60 state record, and then he went to Purdue. So his coach had called me and everything. That was a real cool thing for me, and it also made me feel really old. So there's that also. But yeah, that's what we got going on that, man. So my senior year, indoors went real great. And I don't know if people knew this, but I got second at indoor nationals. So not the state meet, but the national meet. Yeah, and that was a great time. That was out at Baltimore, and went with that. I came back. Then we had indoor state. So I won indoor state my senior year also. So I was 2-time indoor state champion senior year.
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny. I mean, all that was fantastic. Like, I loved it, and it all lined up with where I was going.
Okay.
I actually, again, me doing all this research,
All right.
I did reach out to Devin Pipkin.
Did you really?
I did. I reached out to him and actually spoke to him because I thought it was fascinating because, like you mentioned, he was the same grade as you.
Yeah.
He went to Warren Central.
That's right.
And he made it to state 3 years in a row, just like you did.
And we were teammates my junior summer.
Yes.
Yeah, we were on team together, slept in a hotel together.
He mentioned that. He sent me a picture, which I'll show you.
Oh, no way.
With you and Arthur Wims and the hurdler in Bryce Brown, heck of a hurdler. Yeah. And you guys ran the 4x1, went to Baltimore. He told me all this stuff. And it was fascinating because I just wanted more information. And I wouldn't have found any of this stuff if it wasn't for him. But he was happy to speak about you. And again, one of the main reasons why I wanted him on is because, again, he saw you in every event. And then he said in the indoor season, your sophomore year, you weren't on the radar.
Yeah.
And which makes sense.
Yep.
Junior year, the indoor season is when you guys' rival came, like you guys, but it was always.
I was actually there at the state meet with him. He got second, I got third.
Yeah, exactly. And what was funny about it was he went to IU.
Yep.
And you went to Purdue. It did not stop at high school.
Yeah.
And
you know what neat thing, man, is I went to IU to do a college visit.
Okay.
And they took me through the whole thing, showed me everything, only for the final day to tell me. And I was the fastest in the state at that point. So
this was
my senior year.
Okay.
My senior year. So I did my whole college interview at IU. I was currently the fastest in the state. We do the whole thing, and then they tell me, we don't have any money to offer you.
Oh, no.
We gave it all to Devin and some other guy. So I'm like, Are you kidding me? And at this point, man, I can go literally anywhere in the country on a full ride. Anywhere. Okay. Well, I'm not going to IU.
They weren't giving you a full ride.
Nope. They said you're a freshman, you'd have to pay for it, and then we could put you on something. No, that's not gonna work. So I called Purdue, guys, can I come over for a visit? They told me right away, full ride. They didn't screw me around. Okay, done. End of discussion. Like, don't waste my time.
Absolutely. Shame on them.
But, so that's what we were. Man, yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Devin is awesome. And like you said, I wasn't on the radar, but there were so many physical changes I made coming up to that point. My senior year, I still remember my numbers. I was very strong, physically strong. I was 170 pounds. I could bench press 275. My squat was 360 for 6. And keep in mind, I was a runner, not a weightlifter.
Yeah.
So for me, those were pretty darn good strength to weight ratios. And I remember all these through college, professional level, high school level. I remember all those numbers.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest change is for me, anytime I would get on the line, it was very easy to know I could beat anybody because I put in all that speed work up to that point. Physically, I was so much stronger. There was nothing anyone could do.
And that's a big part of, sprints, being just physically strong. Not a lot of people see that.
Yeah. They don't realize it because me now, I'm not a very big guy, but there are not many humans that are stronger than me. And that's just the reality of it.
Especially your legs.
Yeah, certainly. Right.
So your senior year, again, you had a lot of, a good freshman class coming in. Anthony Chapman, Court Smicker was the grade above.
That's right.
Sophomore, he was a heck of a runner, a sprinter as well. TJ Redlin. Myself, I was in there.
I remember that too.
I was, you might see some pictures of me holding the blocks, and that's all I did.
You had blocks a few times, I remember.
I remember one of them. Yeah. I was afraid I was going to mess that up, man.
I did great.
It was like 200. That's what I absolutely was. I held one of those blocks for that guy. But I just remember, especially, so my first, I guess, memory of you was, so I think it was before track season started. The weather was starting to get pretty nice and springtime. And again, practice hadn't started yet, but a bunch of guys were going to go on the soccer field and do some Frisbee. Yeah. Ultimate Frisbee, fun time, fun activity. We spaced out in groups, teams. And me doing Frisbee with the cross-country runners, Ronnie Thomas.
That's right.
He was pretty good at it. If we had an ultimate Frisbee team,
you're pretty good at that.
They were pretty good. And Corey Maxwell, Philip Budd, all those guys, it felt like the team was stacked for the other team. And I'm with, I can't remember who all, I just know me and you were part of that team. And here I am, stupid freshman, complaining, saying that they have all the good ultimate Frisbee guys. We're going to get killed. And I don't have really. I'm sitting there, tying your shoe. Look at me. Will you shut up? This is like this. We have two different teams. Like you're counting us out before we even start. You weren't mad or anything. You're just like, hey, freshman, I'm Shane Crawford. Like, well, I'm pretty good at it. And heck, guess who won?
I think we got
we did.
So that's what I said is they can have all the people they want. They don't have me.
And after that, I kept my mouth shut. I listened to you. I watched you. And heck, man, I remember the senior year, you had a really good one. And I might have to add this. And you could tell your senior year, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But your senior year, you could tell when it was Shane Crawford speed and normal speed. Sometimes, I don't want to say you were like, in the prelims, some of the prelims, you ran like you were jogging.
Yeah.
And
well, you know that energy.
Oh, man, that's talking to my friend there, TJ Redlin. I'm like, I wonder which Shane we're gonna see here. Out of normal Shane Crawford or just normal. And you could just tell when you were jogging. And in sectionals in the prelims, you were like, you didn't always finish first. Again, it's a prelim. Yeah, you got Donnie Perkins getting there, and Casey Bennell. Yeah. But then once that came around, you zoom, man. It was like a different speed, like a different human.
See, I appreciate that. Thank you. Senior season was a fun ride. I mean, just because I had all the guys that were my class. Casey did a great job. Joel did a great job. And Joel had a lot of responsibility. He had to score points in the hurdles.
Yeah.
And, Corey was there with him, but there was a lot of responsibility on Joel, and he did a pretty good job. In Casey, we always needed points for the 200 as well.
Mhm.
Don Perkins was my guy, and I still talk to Don regularly to this day.
Great dude. I like him.
He's fantastic. And Don had a lot of different injury problems.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that kind of derailed some of his success. But Don he was on the 100 with me. He was on the 4x1 with me.
Mhm.
So we trained together all the time. And there was a lot of meets. Don was second right behind me.
Right.
And it would be tough to get on the line and know that you are not going to win.
Mhm.
You know, and the thing is, unless something happened to me, and that at that point in time, nothing did.
Right.
So you're not running for first.
Mhm.
You're competing for second. But that was the thing, is Don was a darn trooper, man.
He was.
And he didn't complain. He just went for it.
You know, like I mentioned, just a freak athlete.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was really good on the football field as well.
Yep.
Your senior year team was probably arguably the best team that you had.
Man, it was. And the thing is I had told a lot of people early on, a lot of the coaches, that we should try to win sectional.
Yeah.
We should make that our goal.
Mhm.
Don't worry about conference. That'll take care of itself. Let's be sectional champions.
Right.
And it didn't go that way. But again, as a team, we still did very well. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of good memories for it.
Yep, we finished second. And what was big about that, your senior year, so your freshman, sophomore, junior year,
Yeah.
Valparaiso was in there.
Yeah, man.
And they always finished ahead of us. But Valparaiso was taken out of
Yep.
sectionals
You got it.
senior year.
That was our chance to win it. And
Exactly.
that's what I wanted everybody to understand, is this is our chance to win this. We all need to step up.
Yep.
And the thing is, it disappointed me so much when we didn't win that as a team.
Right.
Because I knew for the school and for the town, that would have been something special that we would all held on to for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, as an athlete, I was very disappointed that we couldn't all collectively get that done.
Yeah. And again, Winamac track hadn't won a track sectional yet.
Exactly.
And the bus ride going in, I just remember everyone saying that we have an opportunity to win this.
Mhm.
I mean, we were right there. And then I remember the bus ride back, finishing second at Kinky Valley. It was it was painful.
Yeah, man.
But what I do remember, again, in sectionals, you were, now, again, there's strategies with everything.
Yeah.
Coach Beach. I know that. You were only in 3 events in sectionals. So you won the 100. You got second in the 200 behind Dustin Wilson.
Isn't that funny, after being 3-time sectional champion?
No.
So here's what happened.
Yeah.
In the prelim of the 100, I hurt my hamstring.
Okay. I knew there had to been something.
And this is why things got so interesting for my senior season. I hurt my hamstring at sectionals, and I couldn't do the 4x4 with the other.
Right. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, and there was just a lot of disappointment, just because not only did I get hurt there, I'm letting the team down too, because I wanted to be in the 4x4 so we could all have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just, that's how it goes, unfortunately. But then, sectionals to regionals to state, I'm now dealing with a hamstring problem. So after that happened, my dad took me to Jerry Scott. He was a masseuse in Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
And he had worked on me, kind of took care of my legs. And then basically it was just a resting game. I didn't train any. So, so you got a week between sectionals and regionals. I didn't train any because I've got this hamstring injury I'm trying to nurse.
Right.
So sectionals is over. We bounce to regionals. And for me, I don't know if anyone has had a hamstring injury, but a lot of times, depending on the severity, it feels like you're getting shot by a sniper. You're running and you just feel something, you don't know what it is. And then the pain sets in.
Yeah.
So this was a mild hamstring problem that I had. It was basically just a real bad cramp. Okay. So it wasn't super severe.
You weren't going to let that stop go.
Well, you're going to find out later, you come to a point when there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. Yeah.
So regionals, did I even do the 200? I think we pulled me from it.
Did the 100, which you won.
Yep.
Time in the 100 was 10:68.
Okay.
In your senior year, that doesn't look like you did do a 200.
And that was why, because after sectionals where I'd hurt my
you didn't do it.
we completely dropped it because of injury. And I remember this because Devin had he hurt his hamstring at sectionals.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Him and I, that's why it was so funny, man, because him and I were both like the same person for so many years. And he hurt his hamstring at sectionals the same exact way that I did. So for him, he chose to do the 200 at regionals so he could still go to state in both.
Right.
Because in his mind, he had been a runner-up every single year. This was his year to win.
Right.
hindsight being 2020, I think he basically ruined his chances to win anything because he re-aggravated that in the 200.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I kept my form as clean as I could. I just qualified in the one event. We didn't put me in the 4x1 because we knew the goal was a state title and trying to be a state record.
That makes total sense because
a lot of people don't realize that. I won state on a bad hamstring. I was injured at state. That was 85%, Shane. That was not the max capacity.
When I spoke with Devin, he said that means he was in the prelim in the 100. He hurt it, and it was hurting bad, and he didn't do the 200. Didn't do the 4x1. But he just at least he got 1 point. He said in the 100 for his squad. But I mean, I think Perkins too. He did not do it as well because I think he had an injury. So the 4x1 looked totally different. It was
a whole different team. Everything about it was different.
All right, senior year, heading into state. Okay, like I mentioned, you're regional champion in the 100. This is what you kind of like you mentioned. This is what you've been training for, and like we mentioned with Devin, he said that we knew the only time we were going to compete against each other was at state. So you guys are both there. Just let's talk about that whole process.
I'll back you up. I had a lot of teammates and family come to the state meet.
Yes,
and you had asked about support earlier on. And there was a lot of people there that were behind me and rallied behind me. And I was thankful for it. And even to this day, I am. There was a lot of people who were very supportive, and that was fantastic. To get that as a small town, small community, that is very awesome. I'm grateful to that.
I remember, I could not make it. I can't remember why, but I remember texting TJ Redland, who was there. And there was one point he was texting me too much. And if you remember, Shane, I can't believe that we were at that point, but like he ran out of text messages. He couldn't text me anymore. So he called me and I was like, what happened, man? What happened? You want to
Yeah. There were a lot of teammates. There were teachers. There were so many people who were there in support.
That's awesome.
And it's fantastic.
And I remember, and I'm going to post again, it took me a while to find this, but I'm going to post the video of you winning your senior year. And you just blinding speed coming across the finish line, and you kind of did a little skip. You turned over your left shoulder, just a big smile on your face. I mean, you did it, man. You did what you wanted to do. And then you kind of looked over to your right shoulder, and I think that's where everyone was located. I'm not sure. But if you watch the video, you might be able to help me out a little bit more. But you just like big smile at them. Then that's when you start doing shakes. But and
Devin was on the ground because my injury had gotten a little bit better to where I think I ran a 10:53, whereas Devin's injury had gotten more aggravated.
10:51.
10:51.
You cut you out.
I cut myself off a little bit. So and that was the thing is I had finished at one and Devin was hurt. And I remember going and helping him up because I had competed against this guy. And again, there was never any hatred. There was only love for Devin because he had pushed me on the other side of the state, whether I realized it or not. I needed him.
Yeah.
And that was the unfortunate thing was to see him limp across the line.
Yeah.
Like, that hurt me. I don't want to see anybody I'm against get hurt.
And that's why I mentioned him. That's why I reached out to him. I thought the story was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I did not know about the AAU in Baltimore. Didn't know anything about that. But he ran an 11.47 with a hurt hamstring.
Which is obviously nowhere near his PR.
Right.
Since the previous year, he'd ran 10:50. You know what I mean? But this is just kind of where the season started for me, if you want to look at it. So I win state. I've got nationals 3 weeks from this. My 10:51 had qualified me for the national meet. And I don't know if people were aware of this. Okay, so I take these next 3 weeks to recover, get a healthy hamstring, rest, stretch, don't aggravate it anymore. We go out to Indianapolis, which is a beautiful track. I've got nationals there. In the prelim, I run a 10:33, massive drop from time.
Yeah.
Okay, I go from a 10:51 to a 10:33. Come back for the final, I run a 10:38, and I get third. Well, that qualifies me for the Pan Am World Meet.
Yes.
Okay. Next, I go to Brazil 2 weeks after that, 2 or 3 weeks after that. I'm on the 4x1 and I do the Open 100. The way that went is that they were only taking 2 people. I got third. I wasn't eligible. One of the guys used an inhaler you're not allowed to do that.
Oh, man.
So they pulled him, didn't let him rock. So originally I was only supposed to do the 4x1 there. I ended up doing the 100 and the 4x1. So I got fourth at the World Games. We had 3 rounds. I think my initial prelim was a 10:42. I come back for a 10:33 10:34 legal.
Mm-hmm.
So no win, no nothing, 10:34. So as fast as I was at state, I had dropped another 2 tenths. And all that was is me being on a healthy hamstring. I rested, healthy hamstring, and now I'm on the world stage at that level. Have you heard the name Johan Blake? He's second fastest man in the world.
Okay.
That was where I first met Johan. We had conversations, we talked. Even at professional level, I spoke with Johan. Wonderful guy. He's Jamaican. But then also another world champion, Keston Bledman. That's where I met him. So all of a sudden,
This was at Brazil.
This was at Brazil.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, I'm on a whole different world stage with literally the best on the planet. And that was the difference. I have healthy legs now. So now it's a whole different beast. I do all that, win the state meet, everyone's super supportive, and it's awesome. I was proud of that. I wasn't proud that I didn't get the state record. Remember, that's what that whole season was about.
Right.
It was 10-3-0.
So it wasn't winning state. No, it was getting the record.
Yeah. And again, if you get the record, you're going to win state.
Right.
I'm very goal driven. And that's the thing is, I was very happy, but at the same time, a part of me was very disappointed because I was hurt, sure, but then I got within 300ths of my goal.
Yeah.
So I missed it.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that's just the slightest amount of time, but still, I didn't do it. It's either you get the record or don't. Well, I didn't. I failed.
Yeah.
Was how I saw it.
It's wild. Heck, we're an hour in, and we just talked about high school, and I remember part 2.
College goes a lot faster. It was basically only 2 years.
But it's wild that, heck, weeks later, I mean, after winning state, you went to Brazil.
Yeah.
You did that, running against the best in the world. Yeah. At that point, though, you already committed to Purdue?
Yeah.
So you did that before
I did that before the state.
Okay.
Everything. I already told them I'd go there.
Who all reached out to you? Was it just like schools?
Just as far as colleges?
Colleges. I know you said I did, but...
Yeah, there were letters from everywhere.
Everywhere.
There was Florida, Arkansas, Arizona. LSU.
Did you take like visits?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
IU was the first one?
IU was the first one. I went to Purdue.
And they struck out.
I think I went somewhere else. Yeah, they struck out. I went somewhere else, but it was like, nope, okay.
When you saw them in the Big Ten and stuff like that, did you feel just more, again, IU and Purdue, they don't like each other regardless, but did you feel any?
I wasn't that way just because like I knew those guys. I didn't, they're the same as me. We all have the same goal in mind. It's just, it's someone's going to win and someone's going to lose. And I didn't care what color was on your jersey or anything like that. I've never gotten into the high school rivalries either. I don't care. It's, and especially at these level, they're all just kids. They want to win. Yeah. So it's just whoever is going to put in the hard work and get it done.
Yeah, Devin said that. Yeah, Shane went to Purdue. He's like, if we would have had Shane in the 4x1 at IU, we would have been pretty good.
Yeah, it would have been fun. We should have been on more teams together, but they had different plans.
That's all right. Again, so Purdue. Again, you did lots of good things. Purdue. Here I am sitting with a indoor Purdue's record for the 60 meters.
Yeah.
And here I am with the outdoor 100-meter record, and your name is highlighted.
I'll save you a little bit of time on this, man. So my freshman year, my indoor 60 PR was the equivalent of the Purdue school record. So what my PR in high school was a 670. That was also the school record at Purdue, was a 670.
Wow.
So I get to Purdue. The training is all wildly different.
Okay.
I basically run 5-6 meets, get hurt. Worst hamstring injury I've ever had.
Was it the same one that you had?
I think it was the other one at this point.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. But that basically canned my entire freshman year.
Right.
But there were all kinds of different articles about the super freshman and all this stuff. The season started great. It just didn't end great. And then that ruined my whole outdoor season as well. And my sophomore year essentially went about the same exact way.
Okay.
Had a couple meets, injured. That was it.
So that's kind of why you mentioned was pretty much only 2 years
Yeah.
because of those first two.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the first
Gotcha.
two were essentially a scrap. And the thing was, is I had all this training all the way through high school built up to this point of how to train my body.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue, in their infinite wisdom, had decided, let's change everything about that.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to slow my training down. And then when my body tries to gear back up, it gets hurt. So they bring in a different coach, Mike Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
My junior year, Mike and I got along fantastic, and we came up with a plan to get things back on track. He listened, which is important in the coach-athlete dynamic.
Absolutely.
And we both arrived at a conclusion. Well, okay, we could probably jump to my junior year.
Yeah. You set some records your junior year. I know you won the Big Ten championship indoor.
That was at Minnesota.
Yeah, and Devin mentioned that.
That's right. I had nailed a 667 in the prelim, which was a school record.
Mm-hmm.
Came back the next day in the final and ran a 666.
And your dad had a video.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah,
he winning that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he did. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So we had that. I've got some R-rated stories for that one. We can probably just skip over if you want. So then my outdoor junior season, I got hurt. So what happened? My junior year after Big Tens, we kept training. Nationals was 2 weeks after that.
Mm-hmm.
I start having groin irritation, adductor. Most people just call it groin. Okay. We keep training, it gets worse to the point I can barely walk. Hey, well, sorry, man, we're going to nationals in 2 days. Well, okay, you get on. I don't remember if we flew there or bus there, but either way, we arrive there. I'm in excruciating pain all the time. I do my warm-ups. At this point, I'm popping a bunch of ibuprofen just so I can walk. But I get in the blocks. I go. I run a 669. I don't know how, because I could barely even walk. Wow. But that was basically the end of my season because I couldn't compete outdoors either. I tried, but I was just in so much pain all the time. And that thing took 4 or 5 months to heal.
Yeah.
Like that was brutal. So that was basically the end of my junior season. I won Big Tens, went to nationals, got the school record, and then I couldn't compete outdoors. So now, from my perspective, I've went 3 seasons. I couldn't race outdoors. So, it's so frustrating. So now I come into my senior year.
There's no control. I mean, that's what's frustrating about it. There's no control. You have no control on the injury. It's just, something that you just can't fight through sometimes. You fight through maybe a sliced ankle.
Yeah. But an injury like that, it's just the muscle's not healed. If it won't go, it won't go.
Yeah. Again, like I mentioned, you set the Purdue school record your senior year.
That's right.
In the 100-meter dash, an outdoor. You won the Big Ten champion. I saw a video of that, Big Ten championship. That was fun and cool. And then you advanced the USA. Field.
Yeah, for time constraints, I'll try to go a little quicker, man. But my senior year came together.
Mm-hmm.
We basically figured out, we got me back to the training that I had done when I was younger that kept me healthy. We chilled out in the weight room because what we found is as I got a little bit older, weight room stuff in season always caused me issues. So we completely dropped weight room stuff once the season had started. All of a sudden, my injury problems went away. So my senior year, I had healthy fall training, healthy indoor season, healthy outdoor season. So I was healthy the whole time. So I got second at indoor Big Tens. I had food poisoning 2 weeks before indoor Big Tens. And again, not an excuse. Things happen. I didn't win. And I was furious that I got second. Like I about hurled my medal just into the crowd. I remember my dad could probably vouch on that story. I was furious. And it's like, I felt like I was screwed because if you get sick, what do you do?
Right.
And I'm a person, I rarely ever get sick. I got food poisoning. What do I do? So, okay, second indoor Big Tens, win outdoor Big Tens with a 10-18. That qualifies me for outdoor USAs. And then that actually also qualifies me for Olympic trials the following year.
Okay.
And both of which I competed at. So I ran at USAs. I then ran at Olympic trials the following year, signed with a coach, signed with an agent, went to Florida, started training out there.
This was for 2012 Olympics.
Yeah, 2012.
2012. How was that? Yeah.
It was really great stuff. And, hindsight looking back, you can't really change anything. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
There was injuries all through that just plagued me.
Yeah.
And I needed better rehab. I needed more protein, things like that. And it all worked out the way that it was supposed to. I don't have regrets. It was a lot of really cool experiences, met a lot of really awesome people along the way. And Olympic trials were really cool. And that's the thing that people think is you just go try out for them. You run a qualifying time anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ran that time, you are not qualified. So then you show up and you're good to go. You get in the race and whoever makes the team makes the team.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what it is. And then, you spend all these other times training and just going to random meets all around the country.
That's awesome. But you did make a little imprint there at Purdue. Your name's still highlighted in a bunch of things, which I thought that was cool.
Well, thank you.
Especially at just a smaller school. I feel like this is a cool thing to have. After college, I know you mentioned the Olympics, but after that, what did it look like for you, Shane? What did you do after maybe slide into the Olympic trials and college?
Man, I ran all the way up until 2020. My last race was March of 2020, and that was right when COVID started.
And that was just professionally.
That was
right?
professionally. Yeah. So that was kind of when I said, oh, okay, if everything's going to be shut down for a year, and I was getting slower at that point anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Every year it gets a little harder because you get more injuries, things just build up on your body. And I think I was 32. So I was like, okay, it's time to call it quits on this story, and let's move on to other things is essentially what that was. And, just tons of stuff, but it all goes so fast. And that's why I've tried to tell athletes is take it seriously while you are in it, because it goes so fast. For a lot of people, they'll only be high school athletes. Take it seriously while you are there because it will be over in a flash. Like I ran for 20 years. It was over before I knew it. And it's like, I'm removed from it and I still miss it.
Yeah.
It's just my body can't do it anymore.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Yeah.
You can't point to any professional athlete who wouldn't want to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is.
And that kind of did that pretty much lead just into retirement? I guess you call that
absolutely.
From professional.
Well, and COVID shut that down. So it was like, okay, I'm not going to train another year.
Right.
Just to try and come back and not do well. Let me just move on to greener pastures.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And that led into your career, right?
Yeah.
What you do after that? What is your process there after retirement?
It's tough. And the way I'm wired is I'm a busybody and I fidget, and I still have to go to the gym regularly. I have to move around and do things. And the problem is now I sit at a desk for work all day.
Mm-hmm.
I got really big into stocks and investments. I became obsessed with it because I have a bit of an obsessive personality.
There you go.
If you didn't notice. And so I'm doing that, and I get real excited about it. And before long, I get brought into some different stuff. I end up being a clients relation manager, and I basically will help these publicly traded companies, help them with their image, give business ideas and things like that. I do that. I'm in the market full time, and none of which is physical work. Mm-hmm. And that's probably good. I spent 20 years destroying my body. Let me use my brain now. And I know that's a stretch for me. But yeah, that's what's going on now.
Love it.
Love it. Obsessed with it. I wake up excited every single day to work. And that's a blessing. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily have that. So I don't take any of it for granted.
Do you stay involved in athletics anyway? Like, heck, you could mentor some kids, man. Especially around here.
There's a few kids that do reach out to me from time to time. And I always try to help them where I can. And I went to some of the meets for the outdoor season earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to the coach a little bit. I spoke to a couple of the athletes, gave some of the pointers. And I've tried to tell them, like, anything you guys think you need that you think I could help you with, mm-hmm. give me a call. I'm not that difficult to reach. Yeah. I don't have a criminal history. Just get a hold of me and let me know what you think I can do. And I've always tried to be open with that to anybody at Winamac and at the school, because Winamac has been very good to me.
Yeah.
When I was training professionally, they would always let me use the track. Yeah. Like, because I would spend some of the year in Florida. Mm-hmm. And then when the season was over in June, so December through June, you're competing, but then June through November, I would come back to Winamac and I would train up there at the track.
Yes.
So, I was still up there at my high school track and I'd see everybody. So they were always very welcoming to me. And I truly do appreciate that, from, Rick DeFries, and then you had Rick Green, Kyle Johnson, Dr. Klitzman, even a little earlier in that. Mm-hmm. So there was Dan Foster. So there were a lot of people that were just very supportive. Yeah. And to me, that meant a lot to rally behind me like that and to allow me that grace to do the training that I needed.
You were out there a lot. I remember
all the time.
I remember driving by one time. I don't know why it was. I think it was me in high school, sophomore, junior year. This was during Thanksgiving. Yeah. And you were out there on that track. And then just last year, I did a glimpse over the track field, a video. I had a drone going over the video, and there was someone on the track. Who was it? That was you. That was just like last year.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I zoomed in. It's freaking Shane Crawford. But man, I can't thank you enough, dude, for jumping on with me. I know you're a busy guy, and heck, we went over a lot, but it was all great info, all great stuff. And I can't thank you enough, man, for jumping on. I can't just being younger, watching greatness was pretty awesome in the high school level. But do you have any last words or comments or anything like that before we leave?
Well, it's a lot of young athletes think that high school is kind of the end of the world, and it's not, is the reality of it. Is, my career didn't stop at high school. I got better at college, and then I got better after college. Yeah. And I think that was kind of the story of Devin and I, is, Devin was better than me through high school, but then as I continued to grow and develop, I did get better. But that's also the thing, is these other athletes aren't your enemy. You need them, whether you want to admit that or not. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing, is I needed those guys because they pushed me in my training, whether they were there or not, and whether they even knew it. Mm-hmm. And it's, you take a combination of people that hate to lose and then have that thrown together. I hope more athletes will follow in those footsteps and take it seriously and train smart and train hard and do everything they can to get better and better and better. Absolutely. Because there's no reason that we don't have more athletes going to the state meet every year. Right. There's no excuse for it.
Absolutely. And again, one of the reasons why I have you on, Shane, is just your mentality was just different. And I think that's why that you were where you were at. And again, we talked a lot about Winamac high school, your high school career, but it was even better outside, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. And a lot of people just don't know that is, my career after high school was substantially better. Yeah. Yeah. But it's, a Big Ten medal is really cool. That's like, well, now it's like 18 state champions at once, since they've thrown so many schools into the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's true.
You get my point. So just all the other things, Olympic trials and being at USA's. I think indoor USA's, I was 6th one year. Mm-hmm. And that's on the professional level. That's pretty darn good.
Pretty awesome.
I didn't win. I wasn't happy with that either, but again, it's a pattern. That's how I was.
Yeah. And again, I just remember watching you on TV at the Big Ten championship. Yeah. You're wearing a stinky pee, but again, I can't thank you enough, man, for jumping on. It was great, awesome stories. I appreciate your time. Hey, that was Shane Crawford, the 2007 state champion and Division I athlete at Purdue. Hey, you're doing it. You're listening to the Winamac Athletic Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Winamac Athletic Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Sanders Foods. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at your hometown grocery store. First Federal Savings Bank. They don't want to be the biggest bank, just the best. Riverside Rentals. Discover canoeing, kayaking, and lazy river tubing right here in Winamac. Action Plumbing and Heating for all your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs. Been serving people since 1994. We would like to thank our sponsors for sponsoring today's show and being part of the Winamac Athletic Podcast.
Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe. Go Warriors!